The views and opinions expressed in the following program are those of the hosts and guests, and not necessarily those of the staff or management of Worldwide Digital Broadcasting Corporation.
We are back. This is Steve Sanchez, Jim Jonas, and Pirate Mike Edwards with Veterans in Politics. We're going to have three guests today. We're going to have Janine Hansen, who's running for state senate up in northern Nevada. We're going to have Anat Levy, who's running for Clark County District Court Judge. And we're going to have Amata Radewagen, Congresswoman out of American Samoa. And that's going to be our special guest. Do you have any rants?
Yeah, actually, I do have a rant. Hold on, I forgot. It's actually, I don't know. It's on Facebook right now, but I don't know how many people are aware. I guess in order to meet their enlistment numbers, the California National Guard, right as we were starting to go into Iraq, were given very large bonuses. $10,000, $15,000, $25,000 to get people to sign up for the National Guard in California. Well, now the Pentagon did an audit, and they said that they weren't authorized to give those kind of bonuses. So now they're ordering the California National Guard to make all of those soldiers, it's roughly about 10,000 of them, pay back all their enlistment bonuses. Oh my God. One guy got a $25,000 enlistment bonus, and he's had to refinance his house in order to get it back, or in order to pay it back.
You make a lot of money in the military. You didn't know that?
Oh yeah. So it just floored me when I read that article. I saw it on Facebook. It was in the New York or the Los Angeles Times, and when contacted about it, when contacted Sacramento, the California National Guard said there's nothing we can do legally. We have to force them to get back the money.
But they had a contract, right?
Yeah.
And the contract was the government, right?
Right.
So whose mistake was it?
It was the National Guard's mistake.
Who has to pay for it?
It should be not the soldiers, that's for sure.
All right.
So I just, it's stuff like this every time I hear, and the Pentagon has admitted.
Hold on a second, Jim. I'm not hearing your mic in my headphones.
No?
No.
You can't hear me?
Are you picking it up over there, John?
Yeah.
Oh, can you hear it now?
Oh, I hear it now.
Well,
okay.
So the sound guy should have turned it on. So that's my bad. All right. So
see, that's why I wear these headphones.
There we go. That's why you get a bunch of Marines in a room. You're not going to get a lot of good results. So you got a contract with the United States government. You do this, and we'll do this, and you sign it in good faith. You fulfill your end of the bargain,
right.
And then guess what? Here at the end, hey, we're going to need that money back. What if they don't pay the money back? What are they going to do?
You know what? No one has actually answered that yet. This story just broke. This is only this is like 3 hours old.
If it was me, I'd tell them to go fuck themselves.
Yeah, I would too.
I think that they probably just take it out of their pay regardless.
They get out of their pay. Fuck you. I'm out.
Yeah.
$25,000. You don't make that in 10 years in the fucking National Guard.
That's true.
Yeah. So yeah, to me, they can't. They don't ask for signing bonuses back from anybody else on contracts, and not only that, the Pentagon itself has admitted they've lost $6 to $10 trillion that they can't account for. Yeah. So I don't understand. So there's
that's how they're going to make it back, is a couple soldiers at a time. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I just wanted to say that stuff like that just really pisses me off, and I hope that some smart attorneys get involved and really investigate this, because I want to know I want to see the specific law, and I want to see lawyers interpret this specific law, and then I want to find the asshole that wrote the law, if that is the true law.
If I go in to buy a car and the guy says, hey, we negotiate, I'm going to get this to you, I'm going to get you a good deal, $20,000. I sign it, we're done. He comes back 3 weeks later and goes, hey, I wasn't authorized to do that. I'm not going to fucking pay the money back.
Yeah,
I'm like,
it's not your fault.
I got the car. I'm done, dude. That was your fault. Shame on you.
So I honestly think that it should be the state of California that's on the hook.
State of California, frickin' the government, whoever.
Well, the thing is that the whole part about it is, I'll just leave it at that. This is that the government can just print more money right? For any program that they want, they just print more money. So why don't you just say, slap their hand and say, hey, you know what? Don't do that anymore. You're not authorized to give this amount. Bad on you. We eat the money and move on.
Yeah, you can't take it away from
Yeah.
people like that, because you know what? Now you're going to have people that good incentive. Hey, so the next guy that comes down and say, hey, you know, we're going to give you this. He's like, well, I don't trust you. Why the fuck should I trust you?
Yeah.
You screw over all the other people. You know, government spending is the worst, stupidest thing in the world, and now they can't even. They're not even being held liable or responsible for what they spend or what they do. I'd tell them to go fuck themselves and shut up their ass.
Yeah.
But that's just me.
Yeah. Well, and then it's not a rant, but for all you listeners, you should know that today is the first day of early voting. Steve voted. There was quite a long line, and when I got there right at 9 o'clock at the government building, and they hadn't even put the signs out yet. And there was there was like 20 people behind me right at 9 o'clock. So it seems like there's a good turnout right in the beginning. So that's good. Encourage everybody to get out and vote.
I just, you know what they say, if you keep doing the same thing over and over again, it's a sign of insanity.
Yes.
So I hope they change a whole lot of people around.
Yep, me too. And so it was interesting. I voted 3 Republican, 1 Democrat, 1 IAP, and 1 non-political party. And I didn't vote for Joe Heck.
I did some protest votes.
Did you? That was definitely a protest vote for me. I voted for Tom Jones.
Oh, you did?
What?
Hey, I voted for Tom Jones too.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yep.
Well,
I guess
there's something about Joe Heck that you probably don't even know about.
Yeah. Steve and I know a lot about Joe Heck.
Okay.
Yes.
I know
He
quite a
tried
bit
to
of it.
screw over the veterans' pension.
Oh no, we had this discussion.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
No, that's a deal breaker for me.
Yep.
Deal breaker.
Yeah. So.
I almost went with Catherine Cortez just because.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? I just couldn't go that far. And then
But I went with Tom Jones.
Yeah.
He was safe.
Yeah,
Jones. All he's gonna do is send his fucking bulls on you. He'll sick him down, run you over. That's all right.
Yeah, I just did that because I fight with my good buddy Cindy Lake so much I thought I'd throw her a bone there with Tom Jones.
Yeah, I did Tom Jones too. I thought it was interesting.
Yeah. So again, just first day of early voting, everybody get out and vote.
Yeah. Everybody get out and vote. You know what? You guys ready to take our first guest?
Yes, absolutely.
Are you ready?
Is our first guest ready?
Yeah, that's the question.
Speaking of, so I was out doing some yard work this morning. I was watching people do yard work in my house, and all the Hillary people came down the street, you know, Carpenters Union, and so we were chatting for a bit, and we were there about 5 minutes. Somebody's like, he's got a Trump sign in his yard. And I was like, you know, you're lucky, because if it would have been the other way around, I should have just whooped your ass and sent you on your way. But I was being polite and listening to what you had to say.
Are we ready for our first guest?
Yeah, because, well, you're right. If it would have been, if the roles would have been reversed, it would have been a problem.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, guys, let's take a commercial
Okay.
break and come back. This is Steve Sanson, Jim Jonas, and Pirate Mike Edwards with Veterans in Politics. We'll be right back momentarily.
Hi, this is Anat Levy. Corruption destroys communities. Did you know Nevada was rated the 5th most corrupt state in the nation? I want to change that. I'm running for District Court Judge in Department 20. Let's work together to raise the bar in Nevada. Call me at 702-499-7278 or look me up on my website, electanet.com.
Hi, I'm Heidi Hanusa, and I'm a marriage and family therapist. My clients consist of families, children, couples, and individuals that are in need of some assistance dealing with trauma, depression, anxiety, and many other life issues that you can find on my website. I accept most insurances. For additional information, such as location, hours, insurances, and experience, go to my website at Faith Individual and Family Counseling.
All right, are we back? Are we live? You're live. Are they gonna pull a Tom Bush on us?
Yeah, right.
This is Steve Sanson, Jim Jonas, and Pirate Mike Edwards with Veterans in Politics. We have Janine Hansen, who's a candidate for Nevada State Senate District Number 19, calling from up north. Miss Hansen, are you there?
I'm here, thank you.
Oh wow, we had trouble getting you. What was going on? You have some kind of earthquake or lightning storm up there in northern Nevada?
I wish it was something that dramatic. The phone just kept hanging up.
Wow. Could you tell us where you're calling from and your bio, please?
I live in Elko. I've lived here 11 years now. I'm a native Nevadan. I was born in Sparks, and I'm calling from Elko.
And your bio?
Oh, I'm married and I have 4 children and 13 grandchildren, and I have been a volunteer citizen lobbyist at the Nevada State Legislature my entire adult life, full-time since 1991, and I have worked very hard to represent families, citizens, taxpayers at the state legislature, where usually the voices are only heard of government lobbyists and highly paid lobbyists.
Ms. Hansen, I know you're very involved, and so is your family. Is it a true statement that your brother Chris is the one that founded the Independent American Party?
No, it was my older brother Dan Hansen. He founded
Hansen.
it in
Okay.
1960, and then we were in 1968 is when we first got on the ballot.
Oh, wow. Has the Independent American Party come a long way since then, and what has the accomplishments been?
Well, one of the things that we have been able to do is hold many of the politicians accountable, because usually when you go to a meeting with candidates, you don't hear anything about the issues, but we always talk about the issues, and our focus has been on the issues and preserving our Constitution and our fundamental rights, and so we have been able to stir that up and accomplish much in holding the feet to the fire of those who are elected, and especially for so-called conservative Republicans who pretend to be conservative and really aren't. When we run against them, all of a sudden they find religion. So it's been good in helping them to remember who they are and who they really represent.
Ms. Hansen, you're running currently on the Independent American Party ticket, correct?
Yes, I am, for state senate.
Has there ever been any IAP candidate hold the title of assembly or state senate in Carson?
No, but we have elected many people on the local level to local county offices.
Okay.
District attorney, public administrator, county commission,
Gotcha.
and other local offices. We have elected people to those.
If elected, Ms. Hansen, and congratulations, by the way, for receiving the endorsement of Veterans in Politics. But if elected, where do you see your votes going? Or more to the Democrat or more to the Republican area?
Well, I really think that depends on the vote. Frankly, we are constitutionalists. We believe in obeying, honoring, and sustaining the Constitution and the vision of our founding fathers.
Right.
And so oftentimes people think that that's where the Republicans are, and if that's what the Republicans are doing to keep our taxes low, to protect our families, I'll be siding with them. However, there are a lot of issues that I've worked with the Democrats on, for instance, individual liberty issues. And I will be, if that occasion arises, for instance, freedom of speech and the right to petition. I've worked with the Democrats on those issues. And so I'm in a position to be able to cross the aisle and support those things that are most beneficial in maintaining our liberty.
Okay. Jim?
Yeah, one of the just for the listeners, can you let the listeners know what exactly the boundaries are for State Senate 19?
Yes, it's a very large district. It's the largest district. It includes most of all of Elko County, Eureka County, White Pine, Lincoln. It goes across the northern part of Clark County and includes most of Nye County, including Pahrump.
Okay. When I was doing some research on you, I found that you were the founder, publisher, and editor of the Nevada Family Voter Guide. Are you still doing that?
Well, we did it up until last year, and we found that candidates don't really want to answer the hard questions, and so this year we suspended that, although we put out our opinions on the questions that are on the ballot. We did do that since 1986. It was a huge undertaking, but when candidates don't want to be on the record as to what their real position is, it's very difficult to obtain that.
Yeah, absolutely. I also saw that you were voted Conservative of the Year. That award was given to you by Citizens Outreach Chairman Chuck Muth. Are you similar to Chuck Muth, where you were once a Republican and then the Republican Party kind of left you?
Well, really, I was very young when my brother Dan founded the party. I have been a Republican when we were off the ballot between 1978 and 1992. In 1992, we started with 300 people and built the party to what it is, over 70,000 now. And we have had as many as 54 candidates on the ballot. And yes, Chuck Muth and I agree on many, many issues. In fact, he and I worked very closely during the legislature, and he put out many of my citizen alerts. I work as a citizen lobbyist, and what I do is try to get individual people engaged so that they can make a difference at the legislature by sending out understandable alerts telling them exactly what to do, who to contact, what the message should be. And so we did work very closely together, and we have in several sessions during the legislature, trying to keep our taxes low, maintain our liberties, keep government within some kind of bounds.
Cool. Mike?
Yes, ma'am. Mike Edwards, United States Marines. Just was reading about you a little bit, but for the listeners, what do you bring? What I really like when you were saying, it's not really a Democrat or Republican issue. It's it's a people issue. I'm going to look to see what's best for my constituents if you were voted in, and then try to do the best thing, which is 'cause some people get stuck in voting for their party when obviously there's some better ways to go. What do you see? What are your pros for, and why should people vote for you, ma'am?
Well, I think I'll be an independent voice, someone people can depend on, not to be swayed. We saw that during the last special session here. All of these people voted for crony capitalism and the taxpayers footing the bill. We've had 3 projects now under Governor Sandoval to give all kinds of money to large corporations and large projects while increasing the taxes on small businesses. And I think it's the opposite of what it should be. We should be reducing the taxes on small businesses so that they can create more jobs so that families can flourish. We see problems in families, and what do we say is the answer? The government. No, the answer is that people need to be able to earn a decent wage because of free enterprise so that they can take care of their own families. And that is the opposite of what the Republicans have done and the Democrats. They passed, the Republicans, the largest tax increase in Nevada history in 2015, and just a few years before that it was the Republicans that passed the largest tax increase up to that time. So we can see that as a mother and a grandmother in particular, trying to see what the future of my children is going to be and my grandchildren, I'm very concerned. Up to 50 to 60% of a family's income is eaten up in federal, state, and local taxes. Much of that is hidden. And we don't realize that we are really enslaved by government, that we are not the free Americans that we used to be. And that's the case in many issues. And also I stand for family values. I'm in favor of supporting family values, traditional marriage, and encouraging families to be able to flourish without government interference.
Outstanding.
Well, Ms. Hansen, my apologies. I got a little brain fart. Marines, they don't usually hold it every once in a while. You know what I'm talking about?
I know how it is to be under fire at the legislature. I've never been in the military, and that's pretty scary at times.
I know you've been involved, and I've seen you up in the legislations several times. How many times have you actually ran for political office?
Oh, when my brother was killed in 2002, he was the leader of the party. And since that time, I've run every election as an example to the other people in the party, that we can actually raise the banner of liberty high, that we can promote the Constitution, that we can promote freedom and lower taxes and individual responsibility. And so I have run every year since 2002 in an effort to encourage and be an example to my party, because my brother Dan, who was the founder and the leader, was killed in an automobile accident in 2002.
Oh, well, our condolence for your loss, Ms. Hansen. Could you tell the listeners why they should go to the voting booth and vote for you, and could you give us your point of contact, please?
Yes, there's a couple of very important reasons. We see that the Republican leadership in the Nevada legislature has brought us more taxes, more government. They brought us Common Core, which is destroying our children's education. They have impinged, they tried to pass a bill which would make it even harder for the people to have the right to petition and to petition the government. There are many reasons, and in many counties, in the rural counties, which I would represent, the government is now going after your well. They want to put meters on your well. This is a natural right that comes with our property. The well water comes as a part of the soil, and they are trying to now impinge on that and put meters on the well. So that's a very important issue, and the person I'm running against is considered the expert on that issue, but I believe he's in league with the powers that want to take away that water from individuals. So that's one very important issue. But also, I'm not beholden to anybody. I don't have to listen to what the governor says. I don't have to listen to what what some of these other people like Sheldon Adelson say. We saw that during the last special session. Sheldon Adelson, the 14th richest person in the world and the first the richest person in the state of Nevada, was able to essentially buy our legislature to get the stadium passed. For good or for evil, whatever it is, it shouldn't have been done that way. And so I'm an independent voice that will stand up for the people, for families, for taxpayers, as I have done full-time my entire life. And I have been there many times, and they have tried to silence me many times, but they have been unsuccessful.
And your point of contact, ma'am?
775-397-6859. That's 775-397-6859. Also, you can see my website at JanineHansen.com. That's JanineHansen.com, and you can email me at Janine@JanineHansen.com.
Well, Ms. Hansen, thank you so much for being on the program. Folks, that's Janine Hansen, candidate for Nevada State Senate, District Number 19. And Ms. Hansen has been endorsed by Veterans in Politics, and we encourage anybody that's living in District 19 to go out and vote for her, to put her right into the state Senate right there in our state legislature in Carson City. This is Steve Sanson, Jim Jonas, and Pirate Mike Edwards of Veterans in Politics. But folks, don't go away. We're going to have Anat Levy, candidate for Clark County District Court Judge, Department 20.
Hi, this is Anat Levy. Corruption destroys communities. Did you know Nevada was rated the 5th most corrupt state in the nation? I want to change that. I'm running for District Court Judge in Department 20. Let's work together to raise the bar in Nevada. Call me at 702-499-7278 or look me up on my website, electanet.com.
Hi, I'm Heidi Hanusa, and I'm a marriage and family therapist. My clients consist of families, children, couples, and individuals that are in need of some assistance dealing with trauma, depression, anxiety, and many other life issues that you can find on my website. I accept most insurances. For additional information, such as location, hours, insurances, and experience, go to my website at Faith Individual and Family Counseling.
Folks, we are back. This is Steve Sanson, Jim Jonas, and Pirate Mike Edwards, Veterans in Politics. We have Anat Levy, candidate for Clark County District Court Judge, Department 20. Miss Levy,
Hello.
do you hear me?
Is this on?
Yes, it's on.
Yeah?
We did
Oh, boy.
we did a mic check already.
I'm good.
Great.
Thank you very much.
We're on.
We're on.
Could you tell us about yourself?
No. I'm kidding.
Okay, that's a wrap.
Show's over. Let's get right to the Congresswoman for emergency.
Yeah.
I'm a little punchy today because I've been at the
Drinking
Pearsons.
heavily?
Yes. I went to the Pearson Center this morning. You know, it's the first day of early voting, and so everybody is out in droves. Unbelievable.
To vote
it's
for you,
really
I'm
fantastic.
sure.
Oh, of course they all voted for me, no question. But really, this election has just polarized everybody on both sides, and so you get, I think, what it's going to be a record turnout. At least it feels that
Well,
way.
good. I mean,
really
at least
exciting.
people get committed. I mean, I lived in Australia for quite a few years, and it's mandatory down there. If you don't vote, you get fined. I mean,
Really?
yes.
They should
give
do
you
that
fine.
here too.
They-
There's a tax.
Can
fund
you
right
imagine
there.
all the idiots, though, that have no idea what's
Yeah,
talking about? I mean,
yeah,
at least
yeah.
down there, they have a little more educated. I mean, nothing. And there's, but I mean, people that listen to the show, most of them are educated, and that's why they're listening.
Yeah.
But could you imagine? So I just want to say thank you.
Yeah.
One person at this table came to my charity event last weekend.
Hey, that
have a
must
good
be
time?
me. You know what my new name is?
Did you have a good time? Anyway.
I had an absolute blast.
Yes,
it was
good,
great. There were
good.
so many people. There must have been 100, 200.
No, we had about
people.
400
Hold
bikers.
on.
400
St. Jude's
people?
Ranch.
Hold on.
And I
charity
got
event.
my new road name, too.
Oh, yeah.
Firecracker?
No. I'm a white star.
Okay.
because I had a blue scarf on and had white stars for the American
So
flag.
That's right.
are you gonna like hold this against us?
Oh, you're the one that's taking it. I'm just saying thank you for coming to my
It was-
event. It was a great thing for St. Jude's Children's Ranch in Boulder City. We
It was
raised a
an
lot of
honor.
money, and I appreciate you coming out and getting to see how, some bikers and veterans, how we handle ourselves. She's been to 2 or 3 of my events now, and I
Oh
think you've
boy,
had a
here we
pretty
go.
good
He's
time,
counting,
so.
Jim.
I loved it. Absolutely love it. And I expect an invitation for the next
Yes,
one.
ma'am. You will get
Oh,
one.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
So
As a judge.
Miss,
yes.
look, see that look? Look at that.
He's got a look.
Miss Levy, could you
Yes, Mr. Sanson.
could you give us her bio, please?
Yes. Back to the first question you asked. I have been a lawyer, I'll give it to you the real fast version, a lawyer for 29 years. I've been an arbitrator for 15 years, and I was a pro tem judge in California, LA County for 11 years. And I have worked, I graduated from UC Berkeley undergrad, UCLA Law School, and I started working at a law firm when I got out of law school. I worked there about 5 years. Then I went over to Paramount Pictures and I worked there about 10 years. And then I went out on my own in the year 2000. So I've had my own law firm for 16 years.
You know something? A lot of people are confused.
Yeah, I agree.
In this race, that they don't know if they should go with you or your opponent.
I'll clarify that.
Could you clarify the
Yeah.
difference between yourself and your opponent?
Yes, yes.
Please.
My opponent has been a federal prosecutor, which is good. Federal prosecutor for 32 years before he took the bench last year. He was appointed by Brian Sandoval to take the bench. But as a federal prosecutor, he only did federal criminal law, right? He only ever worked for the government, so he never had a private client. Right. My background is that I have had private clients my entire career, 29 years. So I've represented, more than 15,000 small businesses in a class action, a very large class action. I've represented big conglomerate when I worked at Paramount Pictures. I represented a whole slew of different kinds of plaintiffs and defendants when I was at law firms. I've represented hundreds of thousands of commuters. I've sued the government. I've sued the city of LA. I've sued toll roads, sued individuals, CBS. It just depends.
You were
Once
so
in a while,
happy, huh?
Well, for 29 years, there's a lot of lawsuits, but sometimes my clients were the Goliath and sometimes my clients were the David, and I know how to work with both, and I know how different the dynamic is. And I think that when your client is always the government, it's always the Goliath. So you've never represented someone going against the government, and you've always had endless resources at your disposal to prosecute a case, as many resources as you can get approval for. So, and it's very different also. The other dynamic is if I didn't win the case or I didn't do a good job, I didn't get paid.
Right.
And yet if he doesn't do a good job, he's still got a salary.
Right. No
So
matter what,
he'll
yeah.
say, well, I got this award and I got that award while I was in government. Well, that's what happens in government because you're lockstep on salary. So they give you an award and then you feel good. Oh, I got an award. So I didn't get a raise here, but I got an award. And that's what you get. I'm not saying he didn't deserve awards. I'm just saying it's a very, very different background and dynamic and sensibility when you've never represented a person, whether that person's a company or a human. All right, you've only represented government.
So
Very different.
What's this commercial I hear he's running against? You want to elaborate on that?
Oh, he's saying that I'm a big-time Beverly Hills lawyer. So on the one hand, I say, okay, well, that's not that bad.
Right.
I've heard of worse things. But he says, he's basically putting me down for not having my entire career in Nevada. And I've had hundreds and hundreds of trials in California, and out here I've represented many clients. I haven't needed to have those trials here because I'm able to settle it because I'm representing my clients how I should. And so he's taking that as trying to spin it that I have no trial experience when I've been a judge in trials for 11 years, and most of the laws are either exactly identical or very similar between the two states. Nevada law is often based on California or Arizona laws.
Yeah, that's where most of our precedence comes from, actually, is
Right.
California. And how in the hell can they hold not coming from Nevada against you? How many? I mean, there's very few people that are born and raised in Nevada.
Right, I
So
agree
I don't
with you.
get that. That's a pretty stupid argument.
Yeah, it's
Is that
pretty
all he
funny.
has on you? Is just that?
That's what he said. That's it. And for that, he's running 2 TV ads and radio campaigns. And I say, okay, waste your money on that. Go ahead. You know, he has spent so much money on this judicial race. He's at $358,000 so far, which is really high for a judicial race, a countywide race. And he's not done yet. That was as of the last C&E report, which was October 14th.
So that's all he has on you. You just haven't been in
Yeah, I
Nevada
have-
long.
Right. And I
Wha-
have an office in Beverly Hills,
Right.
so,
Which the
how bad
rent's
can that
probably
be?
pricey out there, huh?
Yeah, though I got a really good deal, so I'm going to keep it there until I see how it goes.
So
and
what do you
close
have
it
on
down.
him?
Oh my gosh! Oh, don't get me started.
Get
started.
started.
I am bound by the judicial canons to
Oh, boy.
make sure that I'm completely honest and not misleading, etc. So I'll start a little bit, but then I won't get into it as much as you have on occasion, Steve. But
I like to get dirty.
yeah, you do. Down and dirty. That's you. I think it started. There's a question as to whether he answered the questions correctly on his judicial application when he was applying to be appointed as judge. There's a question on the application, that 2 questions. One is, talk to us about your 5 most significant cases of your career, and one of them is a case that dealt with public corruption. So he talks about that case, but he doesn't mention the fact that he was taken off the case. He was no longer lead counsel on the case. He writes down that he was lead counsel, and he doesn't mention that he was twice investigated by the Department of Justice on that case. So
He must have just have a memory lapse.
I'm sure it was that. I'm sure it was that. And then there's another question there that asks, have you ever been sanctioned or told that you violated the rules of ethics, etc.? And he simply wrote no, when I'm not quite sure that's correct, given what happened in that public corruption case.
Right.
But that's something that needs to be looked into by whoever is going to look into that, the Judicial Disciplinary Board or whoever is going to be looking into it. And there's other things. He's taking money from lawyers who have open cases in front of him, and that's not illegal in Nevada. But I always say, just because you can doesn't mean you should. And there's
So
an axiom.
in other words, if let's say you're married and some girl hit on you, just because you can, you should. I'm just
That's
trying,
the
I'm
idea.
trying to
That's the idea.
clear it in my mind how that works.
That's the idea. It's being ethical isn't just being ethical when it's easy to be ethical.
Right.
Everybody can be ethical when it's easy. It's when the chips are down and the result will go against you if you do the right thing.
And it's
So-
hard.
Right,
And-
when it's
yeah.
harder.
Mm-hmm.
That's when you know what you're made of. Do you step up and do the right thing regardless? And it's regardless of whether you have to.
It might not
you
be
know?
popular either.
Right,
People
it's
might
not
like it,
popular.
yeah.
Typically, and that's how you know if someone's got what's necessary, the backbone to be a judge.
Right.
I mean that's the position judges are put in. They're put in positions where they have to make calls that are unpopular, where they have to make disclosures that may cost them a case to not be in front of them, and you have to do it. That's what the system's about. That's what our democracy's
So
about.
being a judge that works for the government all the time, would it be, as you're saying, if they're up for a case, against the government or something like that, is it more easy to be influenced since you've got that much of a history? I'm not saying that they would be personally influenced or anything like that, but would it weigh in the back of your mind? You say you I would say you're more well-rounded, you've got more of a complete background, of all different kinds.
Right. And my clients are people or companies that have people in them. So I'm people oriented.
Right.
Whereas government, it's more, this is the state of such
Right.
and such. The state of the U.S. versus so and so. So it's not a tangible person. You're
Well,
not looking at them in the eye.
I think it was pretty interesting. I saw on Facebook this morning, Fred Conquest. I saw your opponent was at an event, and I'm not going to name names. There were some pretty prominent, we would call establishment types at that event, and Fred Conquest put on Facebook, "What are you doing there? Handing out get out of jail free cards?" I thought that was pretty good. So I gotta give Fred an attaboy on that one. I thought that was pretty funny. And you were able to get me out. I was the first person in line at 9 o'clock this morning at the government center, and you got my vote.
All right.
So I was
Thank
the
you
first one
so
there.
much.
You
Jim
also got my
Jonas.
vote too.
Hey, Steve Sanson, thank you so much.
How about you there, Mike?
He's like, no comment.
As soon as I vote, yes. I've been a little busy, so I will go. I will make my way
Yeah.
down there. But
I appreciate
she knows
it.
how I feel, and just from her, she might be a Beverly Hills lawyer, but she still hangs out with common people, and the
riffraff
the
of Mike.
regular. Well, I wouldn't get riffraff, but we're just a bunch of bikers and veterans out there trying to raise some money for
Yeah.
some of the people out there.
It's
But
an
she
honor.
came out, and
It's an honor.
we had a rockabilly band, and I saw you dancing a little bit.
Oh,
so yeah, we had a good old time
So
Yeah.
you're sociable.
that you missed
huh?
out on. So.
What?
Oh, there he goes again.
That's all right. She's very sociable, and she's not above anyone. From what I could see, she
my
was talking.
gosh.
She was talking to everyone. Well, you were. You were talking to everybody out there. People
We're all
had
the
questions.
same.
Yep.
We're all the same. And you know what? I notice when I go out and campaign, you know how many people very sadly say to me, "I've never met a judge. I've never seen a judge out of a robe."
Right.
And here I was in
And
my
that's not when you want to
t-shirt.
see them. Trust me.
Yeah.
You want to make sure they have their
I've
clothes
seen
on.
judges in bikinis. I'm just saying.
Hey, all right.
Please
What?
rise.
Did he really? Did he say that?
So what I'm gathering in this conversation we're having is that you wrote or signed the front of a check, and your opponent is accustomed to signing the back of a check. So you're a job
probably right.
creator, and he's a
I have employed
Government.
a lot of people.
tit sucker, or whatever you want to call those people.
I
It's usually a teat, but close enough. It's okay. All right.
won't go there, but I have run my own business.
taking
for
the high
16
road.
years.
So,
all right.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
that-
I got to take that.
The one question. Well, first I have to apologize. I totally planned on going to Chris G's fundraiser at her house
I don't know.
for you, but I had to switch. But no, I had.
But you had to wash your hair.
No, I had a conflict with scheduling at work, so I had to change.
No
my
problem
plans.
at all, Jim. I
No,
know
I
you were
would've-
there in spirit.
I would have definitely been there. People tease me all the time about how I can be friends with Chris G, but we disagree ideologically. But I think she's a nice lady.
Yeah, she's a good
so
lady.
I don't have a problem with her.
You know, in one of the commercials that you mentioned, you said that Nevada is the 5th most corrupt
State in the nation.
union. What, as a judge, what could you do to make sure that we go down the straight and narrow?
Well, the judiciary in Nevada got an F rating, so that's heartbreaking. There are a lot of good judges here in Nevada, but what we need to do to make sure that our systems are correct and are that we structure our processes in a way that inspires trust. So, for example, taking money from people who have open cases in front of you, okay? That doesn't inspire trust. So let's look at that and see what we can do to make sure that we reform that. Either disclose, contributions you've had for the last 5 years, whatever it is. But let's look at that and see what we can do to clean it up. I think the committee that rated Nevada with an F said that there were 35 instances of cases in front of the Supreme Court where there were conflicts of interest, in that one of the justices owned stock, or the justice's wife or spouse owned stock in one of the litigants' parties
Wow.
and didn't disclose it.
Wow.
So things like that can't happen. We have to look at all of our processes and make sure that wherever we see a problem, we fix it. There's just too much of, oh, well, that's just the way we do it. Yeah, but we don't disclose everything. It's just too complacent. It's too casual. These are the very foundations of our democracy. You start messing around with the court system, there's really nothing left.
Well, you know that every single judge in the state should vote. In this county, should vote for you because
Of course.
because apparently your opponent was trying to reenact a 100-year-old law to recall judges.
Yeah.
You want to elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah, Catherine Ramsey was up for recall. She was the municipal court judge in North Las Vegas, and she made a motion in front of Judge Johnson to try to get an injunction to have it stopped. And she argued, her lawyer argued, that all of the discipline should come from the disciplinary board, which was established later on, and that there's no recalls of judges now. And Johnson disagreed. And he said, no, I know they established a disciplinary board, but that's only if a judge does something wrong. They didn't repeal this really old law that said you can just recall somebody, any public official, for any reason whatsoever. So he was advocating through this opinion that you can recall a judge for no reason at all, no malfeasance at all. So not only does a judge now have to make unpopular decisions, but now they're subject to getting recalled
If you make an unpopular decision, yeah.
before they even go up for election. So that's all we need is more of a chilling effect, and then the entire Association of Justices of the Peace wrote an amicus brief against his opinion when it went up to the Supreme Court. Now, I don't know if they've come down now with the ruling. I don't think they have. I think it's still open, but the case may end up getting moot. So.
And then there's another factor that I was always preaching: the nepotism on the bench. How do you feel about that?
Well,
a husband and wife team on the St. Clair County District Court bench. So if you recuse from the husband, you should recuse from the wife as well, because they do all those talks in the bedroom, right? One would think.
I won't go there.
Even at dinner. It's like, come on, yeah.
Well, I think that certain issues become exaggerated when you're dealing with husband and wife. For example, so it's an issue if you're taking money from someone with an open case in front of you, right, as a judge. What if your donor has an open case in front of his wife, right? So now you need to make disclosures at the wife level, and you need to make disclosures at the husband level. Certain things just get exaggerated. So I think we have to be extra cautious whenever there's members of the same family at the same bench.
Well, it's all optics, and the normal person feels like they're always getting screwed anyway. So, when stuff like this is going on, even like you said, even if it is legal, it might not seem right.
Yeah.
And even if it is, you're not doing anything wrong, why even make the appearance of any kind of impropriety?
Right.
Or it's a lot about optics and making the normal person feel like they're not getting screwed by the government.
The trust of the people in the courts is vital for this democracy to move forward.
Right. Ms. Levy, could you, for 30 seconds, could you look into the camera and tell the folks why
there's the camera.
They should go to the voting booth and vote for you? And could you give us your point of contact as well?
My point of contact is electanet.com or 702-499-7278. Please go and vote. It's so important. Your voice counts. I am so well qualified. I've been doing this a very long time, and I have the heart for it, and I have the education and experience for it. I've been dealing with my clients, many clients for a long time, and getting very good results. So I'm here. I came here 6 years ago out of a labor of love. I've been donating my time for the last 6 years, and I'm so happy to be able to give it back on the bench. Thank you all.
Anat Levy.
Oh.
Thank you so much for being on the program. That's Anat Levy, candidate for Clark County District Court Judge Department 20. And she's also endorsed by the Veterans in Politics, endorsed by Seniors United, endorsed by the Police Association.
Supervisors, North Las Vegas Supervisors Association.
And we encourage all Veterans in Politics members to go to the voting booth and vote for Anat Levy. She will make a huge difference, and I think that she'll make chief in 4 years if she's elected on November 8th. This is Steve Sanson, Jim Jonas, and Pirate Mike Edwards with Veterans in Politics. But folks, don't go away. We're going to have a special guest. We're going to have Amata Radewagen. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Who's calling in from the American Samoa. She's a congresswoman for American Samoa. We'll be right back, folks.
Hi, this is Anat Levy. Corruption destroys communities. Did you know Nevada was rated the 5th most corrupt state in the nation? I want to change that. I'm running for District Court Judge in Department 20. Let's work together to raise the bar in Nevada. Call me at 702-499-7278 or look me up on my website, electanet.com.
Hi, I'm Heidi Hanusa, and I'm a marriage and family therapist. My clients consist of families, children, couples, and individuals that are in need of some assistance dealing with trauma, depression, anxiety, and many other life issues that you can find on my website. I accept most insurances. For additional information, such as location, hours, insurances, and experience, go to my website at Faith Individual and Family Counseling.
Folks, we're back. This is Steve Sanson, Jim Jonas, and Pirate Mike Edwards with Veterans in Politics. And we have Amata Radewagen, the Congresswoman out of American Samoa. Miss Radewagen, how you doing?
Great, Steve. It's really a pleasure to be there with you today.
Thank you so much for calling in. And we have a few questions for you, and we're going to move it along very quickly. And Jim Jonas?
Yeah, first of all, Congresswoman, thank you very much for coming on this afternoon. We really appreciate that on your weekend. The first question I have is, we're coming up on the end of your first term in office. Can you tell us about your experience and what you have accomplished as a freshman Congresswoman?
Great question. I can tell you that time moves really fast in Washington, and I had to hit the ground running when I arrived because there were so many time-sensitive issues affecting our small islands, like the minimum wage waiver, which was set to expire just 9 months after I took office. So as you both know, it often takes a long time to get anything done in D.C., but we were able to tackle the issue, and our working people received a raise while not breaking the backs of our local businesses. A good compromise for all, I'd say.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, Congresswoman. This is Mike Edwards. I'm a United States Marine Desert Storm vet. I was reading that you're on 3 different committees in Congress: the Small Business, I believe, Natural Resources, and the VA Committee for Veterans Affairs. I'd like you just to tell our listeners about some of the accomplishments specifically for the House Veterans Affairs Committee, ma'am.
Thank you. Well, as you know, American Samoans join our military ranks at 10 times the rate of those in the state.
I do, yes.
A fact that I remind my colleagues in Congress of every chance I get. And because of our people's dedication to our great nation, we've got a high number of veterans here at home, which is exactly why I serve on the House Veterans Affairs Committee.
Mm-hmm.
I'm dedicated to making sure that our veterans here in American Samoa are given the same benefits and services as their counterparts in the States. And I won't rest until that's a reality. We've come a long way, but we are still a long way away from where our local veterans need to be. Well, but during the 114th Congress, the committee took steps to ensure that further tragedies, such as the wait times at the VA hospital in Phoenix, never happen again.
Mm-hmm.
One of the main efforts of the committee was seeking new avenues of ridding the VA of underperforming and even corrupt employees. But don't get me wrong, the vast majority of VA employees are hardworking individuals who are dedicated to serving our veterans. But just like with any business team or organization, a few bad apples can tend to spoil the bunch.
Absolutely.
So we're continuing to find ways to speed that process up so that we can position those slots with workers who want to do the right thing for all of our veterans. We're making great progress through the work of the House Veterans Affairs Committee, though I wish I could say the same for the U.S. Senate, where we have 32 House-passed bills awaiting action, including my own bill, H.R. 5174, the Veterans Education Enhancement Act of 2016. However, despite the large number of bills still awaiting action in the Senate, my colleagues and I on HVAC have had 12 bills that originated in the committee that were actually signed into law by the President, including, and I'm sure you're aware of it, the Clay Hunt SAVE Act,
Mm-hmm.
which aims to improve the accessibility and effectiveness of veterans' mental health care.
Sure.
the Service Transportation and Veterans Health Care Choice Improvement Act, which helped clean up VA's financial mismanagement mess, and then, of course, the Veterans Identification Card Act, which is really important here to our American Samoan veterans, which helps better recognize veterans for their service. I mean, I'm just naming a few because time is tight.
Mm-hmm.
But I look forward to continuing this work and more, much more, in the 115th Congress.
I'm sure your veterans really appreciate it, ma'am. Steve?
Congresswoman, we'd like to know about your father, the former governor of American Samoa. We would like you to clarify. After some research, your father, Governor Coleman, brought the junior ROTC to American Samoa. Is that a true statement, ma'am?
Yes, Steve. As a matter of fact, it is. Now, Governor Coleman is, you might know that he is the only Samoan that we are aware of who not only was a Pearl Harbor survivor, but he actually he was inducted into the Army Infantry Hall of Fame at Fort Benning. But yes, as the first elected governor of American Samoa back in the late 1970s, he brought the JROTC to American Samoa. And then in the mid-'80s, I think it was, and now I'm just going on my memory here, he and Governor Lutali, his successor, they brought the PX to American Samoa as also they brought the U.S. Army Reserve. So I think we would want to give credit to both of those governors.
Great. Ma'am, and also I really didn't realize how little I knew actually about American Samoa until I started researching. I'm a veterans advocate here in Las Vegas too, and I've been contacted by a few people like over the past few months have relatives that are veterans in Samoa, and I was hoping maybe next week or when you find some time I could actually maybe call you privately and speak to you about some of that, because I have some questions for you that obviously we don't have time for in this show. But these are some people that have reached out to me, and I thought what a great chance to getting to speak to you, and you seem like you're really committed to your veterans, especially the ones that are born and raised in American Samoa.
I would be delighted and honored to answer any questions, so just feel free to give me a call, and we can talk any old time.
Great, I appreciate it. And I think we're doing some research on American Samoa and the differences. I thought it was pretty interesting how we treat the where you live, and it was pretty different. I learned quite a bit actually, and some good and some bad about the United States and your where your island is, ma'am.
Yes.
Congresswoman, we would like to congratulate you on being endorsed by Veterans in Politics. Matter of fact, this is actually the third time we endorsed your candidacy. The 2 times you were running for this seat, and now that you officially have the seat, we have endorsed you as a congresswoman. But by the way, Congresswoman, how is The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, doing?
Oh my gosh, he's my cousin. He's doing very well. He is. They tell me he is the highest paid movie actor these days.
You know, my wife
guy.
My wife wants to see him, Congresswoman.
Is that right?
Yes. She
Well,
wants to see
we'll
him.
see if we can't arrange that. He's a tremendously busy person. He barely has time to see his family members.
I want to go to that family reunion right there. That's what I want to do. I bet you there's a lot of food there, isn't there, ma'am?
Yes, absolutely.
Congresswoman, and I forgot to ask you for a quick bio and exactly where you're calling from.
I am calling from Pango, American Samoa, and it is about 11 o'clock in the morning, a little after 11 o'clock in the morning on Saturday.
Great.
So we're 4 hours behind you guys.
Okay.
And your bio, ma'am?
Bio, yes, you could actually go to amata.house.gov.
Okay.
And I know time is short, but if everybody could just click into that, it has the bio, all the blessings and things we've been able to accomplish in just the past 19 months that I have been in office. My very productive staff has been a huge part of that as well.
Congresswoman, do you have any final words you'd like to get out to the listeners?
Yes, thank you. I think I'd like to say that in the short time that I've been in Congress, the good news is that we've established a very strong connection with American Samoa is actually part of the U.S. House leadership, which, as you know, consists of the Speaker, the Majority Leader, the Whip, Conference Chairman, and the committee and subcommittee chairman. And this member of Congress is very privileged to have been chosen. I chair 2 subcommittees. So we're right on the inside track, and I think it's not only very exciting for American Samoa, but for all veterans as well, for whom I work.
Well, Congresswoman, thank you so much for being on the program. By the way, how long is the flight from Vegas? Just want to know.
Oh, let's see. It's probably 10 hours. Maybe 8 hours, something like that. It's not too bad.
And
it's the flight from D.C. to Pago Pago that's 20 hours. So but you kind of get used to that.
And you have to land in Hawaii because there is no straight flight, correct?
That's right.
Okay.
And then we have only one airline, and it only flies down to our little island twice a week. So you better be wanting to travel on Friday or Monday. Any other days, you're out of luck.
Wow.
Well, we'll come see you real soon, okay?
Yeah, we got to come down there.
Oh, you've got a standing invitation. We'd love to have you.
All right, that's folks. That's Congresswoman Amata Coleman Radewagen. Did I get all your names in there?
Yes, Amata works for me. It's on my birth certificate, so that's fine. Everybody calls me Amata. Take care.
Congresswoman represent the island of American Samoa. We encourage all veterans and politics members to go out and vote for her. And this is Steve Sanson, Jim Jonas, and Pirate Mike Edwards with Veterans in Politics. Until next week.
Hoorah.